Mr. Moderator, the floor is yours.
Thank you, MCs. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and a very good morning to everyone on the floor. Let me introduce myself. My name is Anwar Hadi bin Nur Azman, and it is with great joy and honor that I sit in front of you today as the moderator of the first session of the National Aspirations and Leadership Symposium 2013. We have in front of you today a distinguished line of speakers to discuss young leaders, the line between perception and reality, where do the Malaysian youth stand? And allow me to introduce again the speakers for today. Firstly, we have Mr. Azzairi Rosli. He's a law graduate from the University of Malaya, and he has won numerous debate tournaments and was awarded the best speakers for most of those tournaments. Secondly, we have Mr. Izhar Moslim. He was the previous chairman of the Australian and New Zealand UMNO Club and was also the president of the Melbourne UMNO Club. And he is currently working with Dato' Idris Jala as his special officer. And last but not least, we have right beside me here Mr. Hafiz Ariffin, currently the Student Council President of the Tun Hussein On Malaysia University and also the President of the National Students Council. Also the Youth Advisor for the Asia Pacific Young Adult Members Group of the World Organization Scout Movement. Now, please give them a round of applause. Esteemed speakers they are. Now let me briefly explain to you how this session is going to go. So, first of all, I'm going to ask these three gentlemen a question, and they'll be given each 10 minutes to respond. So after that first round of questions, we will allow questions from the floor, 2 people only, because we don't have that much time. So 2 questions from 2 people from the floor, and we will allow them 10 minutes to answer those 2 questions. Nextly, we have another question from me, and each will be given 10 minutes to answer that question. And then finally, we will give them 4 minutes to conclude their arguments, and then we're off to lunch, inshallah. So before we get started, let me lay some ground rules. So firstly, when a speaker is speaking, please do not interrupt that person, because that person only has 10 minutes, and all of you are bright students and you have so much to say. So please try not to interrupt your friends when you're speaking, when they are speaking, sorry. So secondly, keep it intellectual. Stick to the facts, justify everything you say, try not to hate, okay? No hate speech whatsoever, no racist statements, please, and no condemning religions. So, pretty basic stuff. I'm sure all of you are familiar with all of this. So, moving on to the topic at hand, the issue is young leaders, the line between perception and reality. Where do the Malaysian youth stand? When we talk about young leaders, we usually refer to student leaders from organizations and clubs that are established as avenues for students to take on responsibility, to polish their leadership potential, and gain a feel for being in bigger organizations that have a more diverse set of members. However, being set in a contained environment, and usually with the help from supervisors such as teachers and lecturers, this might actually reduce the amount of independence and autonomy that the students have. Now, how much does this experience actually inform youth leaders of the reality of this cruel world? So, to answer this question, I'd like to invite Mr. Azzairi. Please get the ball rolling, Mr. Azzairi.
Testing. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and salam sejahtera. Okay. The name of this program is National Aspiration. So, in upholding the national aspiration, so let me speak in national language, because I believe, as a future leaders, you must be balancing between English and Malay. But it doesn't mean that I cannot speak English, okay? Persepsi kena betul. Okay. Alright, the question by Anwar Hadi. Asking me, bahasa Inggeris juga. Soalannya bertanya kepada saya, adakah dengan kita letakkan sistem supervisor kepada golongan kepimpinan generasi muda, golongan utamanya mahasiswa ini, seolah-olah dia menyekat kebebasan untuk kreativiti? Okay, I will answer begini. Persepsinya, hari ini, apabila kita bercakap tentang soal persepsi masyarakat kepada orang muda ini pelbagai. Maksudnya, apabila mereka berkata soal persepsi kepada orang muda, selalunya mereka mengangkat orang muda ini mempunyai ada yang cukup kreatif, mempunyai potensi yang cukup banyak, mempunyai kekuatan yang boleh untuk mengubah segala-galanya. Sedangkan falsafah-falsafah dahulu pun berkata, jatuh bangun sesebuah negara itu bergantung kepada golongan mudanya. Malah Soekarno pernah berkata, berikan aku 10 remaja Indonesia akan aku gegarkan dunia. Jadi perkara ini menunjukkan betapa pentingnya golongan muda, generasi belia ke arah pembentukan sesebuah negara ataupun mencapai matlamatnya. Jadi apabila mereka berkata soal persepsi tentang orang muda, akhirnya kita melihat kepada inilah generasi yang akan memimpin dan sebagainya, mengambil alih tampuk kepimpinan. Itu persepsi. Namun realitinya hari ini, saya ingin bertanya kembali kepada anda semua, adakah hari ini golongan yang dikatakan mempunyai potensi yang cukup besar ini diberikan ruang untuk beliau menunjukkan keupayaannya yang tersendiri? Maksudnya, adakah mereka ini diberi ruang untuk maksimumkan potensi yang ada? Seandainya iya, apakah buktinya? Dan seandainya tidak, soalan saya yang seterusnya, adakah hari ini wujud kekangan yang akhirnya menyebabkan perkara-perkara sebegini, potensi ini tidak dimaksimumkan? Dan seterusnya lagi, dia mengunjur lagi kepada satu soalan yang seterusnya. Seandainya betul wujud kekangan, mengapa? Adakah secara realitinya keupayaan golongan mahasiswa ataupun golongan belia ini tidak seperti yang telah dipersepsikan oleh masyarakat terhadapnya? Jadi perkara-perkara ini selalu berlega-lega. Kerana apabila tajuk diberikan antara persepsi dan realiti, saya bertanya kepada diri saya sendiri, apakah yang hendak kita sampaikan antara persepsi dan realiti? Kerana saya percaya persepsi dan realiti itu bergerak dalam keadaan yang serentak selari. Maksudnya, untuk kita sampai ke realiti, kita akan berjumpa dengan persepsi dahulu. Dan apabila kita sudah sampai ke realiti, ketika itu kita bukan lagi di antara persepsi dan realiti. Itu saya punya argument apabila bercakap tentang tajuk pada awalnya. Biasalah, debater dia kena argument banyak. And what they say is prominent debater. I swear ni semua mesti kerja-kerja ranjau ni. Because yeah, definitely when they Rusutia nak cerita pasal Izhar Moslim description, as chairman semua, and then Hafiz, YDBK, yes, and then Azzairi Rosli, dia macam tak tahu nak describe apa, and then they come out prominent debater, but it's okay, I'm thankful for it. cuma apa yang saya nak sampaikan di sini, kadang-kadang potensi yang besar ini diperlukan bimbingan, dan saya tidak katakan ia menyekat kreativiti, kerana apabila sesuatu potensi itu dibimbing dengan ruang dan cara yang betul, ia akhirnya akan membawa satu impak yang besar. Dan ruang yang cara betul ni maksudnya kita berikan mereka kebebasan. Kerana mahasiswa ataupun belia ni mempunyai 3 perkara, iaitu kuasa untuk berfikir, kuasa untuk bertindak dan kuasa untuk bersuara. Dan ketiga-tiga ini akhirnya lahir daripada satu peringkat awal yang diberi nama persepsi. Iaitu persepsi ini dia boleh hadir dalam 2 cara. Pertama, sama ada berdasarkan suara daripada orang lain ataupun menerusi media baru, atau yang keduanya adalah berkenaan pengalaman yang beliau lalui sendiri. Dan suka dengan yakinnya saya katakan, di Malaysia yang pertama itulah yang paling kuat dalam membentuk persepsi orang muda hari ini. Terlampau kuat. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, blog. Inilah orang kata budaya yang telah pun menanamkan satu persepsi yang cukup kuat dalam kalangan orang kita, dalam kalangan orang belia. Dan perkara ini akhirnya menyebabkan mereka telah memikirkan satu keadaan di mana mereka ini berada dalam satu persepsi yang kebanyakannya negatif, yang akhirnya merugikan semua. Jadi, most respective audience, apa yang saya nak berkatakan berdasarkan soalan Anwar Hadi ini, realitinya para belia ini masih lagi memerlukan bimbingan. Dan dalam kita mendidik mahasiswa ini, yang kita perlukan adalah kita beri ruang yang betul kepada mereka. Maksudnya, dalam kita mengawal, kita tidak mengongkong. Dalam kita memberi kebebasan, kita tidak membiarkan ia terus terbiak. Jadi inilah yang kita perlukan untuk memastikan golongan kepimpinan mahasiswa belia hari ini tidak tersasar daripada landasan. Dan satu yang ingin saya bicarakan adalah berkenaan dengan peranan anda sebagai student mahasiswa. Because all of you in front of me are all the student leaders, like be informed by the Urusetia. You are the student leaders. Maksudnya, anda student leaders golongan mahasiswa. Mahasiswa ini dia bukan sekadar biasa. The name of Maha itself brings satu perkara cukup hebat. Maha kaya, Maha Esa, Maha Raja Lawak even though, okay? Banyak otai-otai lawak, okay? So, Yamaha, sorry. Ya, maksudnya, yang anda bawakan ini adalah mahasiswa. Ini adalah satu generasi yang mewakili golongan intelektual yang cukup tinggi. Dan perkara inilah yang sebenarnya diperlukan untuk memacu ke masa hadapan. Jadi, soalan saya kembali kepada anda. Ketika anda memegang tampuk ini, apa yang ingin anda tinggalkan selepas anda menyerahkan tugas ini? Apakah yang ingin anda tinggalkan supaya legasi ini berjaya diteruskan? Apakah yang anda ingin tinggalkan supaya perjalanan kita menuju matlamat itu berjaya untuk kita capai dan sebagainya? Kerana saya pernah berkata kepada seorang sahabat saya yang memegang jawatan di universiti, kita ada tempoh setahun. Dan dalam tempoh setahun itu, secara realistiknya, berapa banyak perubahan yang kita boleh buat? Akhirnya, kita terpaksa meninggalkan dua perkara, untuk diingati dan untuk orang terus meneruskan perjuangan kita. Pertama, adalah usually people will leave you a physical structure. Okay? Of course, as a MPP, kita nak jalan, berbumbung, whatever semua. Dan yang keduanya adalah sistem. Sistem untuk anda tinggalkan kepada universiti supaya ia akan diikuti untuk ke arah yang semua orang mahu persetujui. Kerana orang kita ini dia biasanya dia suka untuk menyalahkan sistem. Apabila mahasiswa lesu, salahnya sistem. Anak aku tak dapat 8A, salahnya sistem, padahal anak tak belajar. Akhirnya disalahkan sistem. Sebab apa? Sistem ni berorientasikan peperiksaan, akhirnya orang tak boleh. Sistem. Jalan jam, sistem jalan raya. So nanti once sudah kahwin ada anak, jangan bagi nama anak sistem. Sebab nanti dipersalahkan. Kan? Okay, tak lawak sikit, fine. Yeah. No, that's persepsi, because my persepsi ingat tu lawak, but reality is not. So, okay, move on. So itu yang kita mahu tinggalkan. Akhirnya, yang kita ingat adalah, saya pernah, when I was in secondary school, okay, I went to this camp, okay, the camp commander, we call him Triple H, sebab dia garang. You know Triple H? Triple H? Yeah, okay, Triple H, sebab dia garang. But we call him Triple H not because physical dia macam Triple H, tapi sebab nama dia Hamim Haji Hussein. So we call him Triple H. So what we told us, what he told us, okay, what he told us is something like this. Yang saya pegang sampai sekarang adalah seorang coach bola yang baik, dia bukan hanya melahirkan pemain bola yang baik, tapi dia juga berjaya melahirkan seorang lagi coach yang baik, seorang guru yang baik. Anwar, okay, you will become a teacher in future.
Baik ke tak tahu lagi ya.
Okay, lah kan. Seorang guru yang baik, dia bukan hanya melahirkan pelajar yang baik, tapi dia juga melahirkan seorang guru yang baik. And it goes to as well dengan kepimpinan. Pemimpin yang baik, dia bukan hanya mentadbir dengan baik, rakyatnya suka, sebagainya, tapi dia juga mampu untuk melahirkan seorang lagi pemimpin yang baik. Kerana dia sedar, satu hari nanti dia akan pergi, tetapi perjuangannya tidak akan mati. Dan dia memerlukan pelapis untuk memastikan perjuangannya untuk terus dicapai segala dan sebagainya. Sebab tu kita biasa mendengar perjuangan masih belum selesai, perjuangan masih belum selesai. Kerana because of this, kerana kita memerlukan lagi sinergi untuk kita terus sambung legacy ini. And
Mr. Azzairi,
here you are.
if you could wrap this up.
Okay, oh dah nak habis Okay, so tengah syok bercakap dia potong pula dah. But the last thing I want to wrap up, sometimes as a teenager, as a youngsters, kita ingat kita boleh buat semua. There is a perception, even in ourselves. Kita ingat kita boleh buat semua. Kita rasa kitalah yang akan pandu semua. And sometimes we neglect untuk dengar orang yang lebih berpengalaman kata. Sedangkan perkara itu perlu. And pesanan saya kepada semua adalah dalam kita bercakap soal memimpin pentadbiran dan sebagainya, I disagree when when we say yang bila kita ada supervisor ia akan menyekat kreativiti, because I believe we need it because it's reality to face it and to experience it by ourselves. So that thank you for now. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Mr. Azzairi, for your thoughts. Okay, so next we move on to Mr. Izhar Moslim to give his 2 cents on the issue at hand. Please. Mr. Izhar Moslim, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks. Very good morning and assalamualaikum to everyone, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I feel I'm the odd one out on this stage. They told me 2 days ago to wear casually, so I'm here with my sneakers and my shirt. Datang-datang tengok dia pakai suit, pakai tie, so I forced them to take off their tie lah. So level things up. But the perception or expectations to me is, I hope it's low lah because I'm wearing like this. Okay. I would like to answer the topic or the question that is raised. Okay? Between perception and reality, where do you stand? Where do youth in Malaysia stand? This is my personal observation based on my experiential truth. What I have learned before, what I have experienced before, what I have observed before, this formed my opinion. You might not disagree, you might disagree with me, you might agree with me, but this is my own experiential truth. I would like to answer, there are many issues in this world, because bila saya dapat topik ni, I couldn't really think, or I couldn't really understand, okay, but now I drill down to issues. There are many issues, or many matters in this world that we face with. So we can look at social issues, political issues, economic issues. We take social. We see there's a transformation in the society when you use social media. Okay, youth are very connected to social media. So where do you stand in social media? Is it perception or is it reality? Youth are very close to reality, because why? We know how to use it. We engage with people how to use it. Every second, every minute we use it. But when the older generation, they talk about social media, they say, this is nonsense, this is a waste of time. So they are far from, that's the perception. Okay? So I agree with Azzairi when we say it's a journey from perception to reality. Okay? Let me give you another perspective. In life, there are many phases that we go through. First, from baby to a child. Okay, 0 to 7 years old. Then a child to a young adult, and a young adult to a working adult or older adult, and an older adult to when you die. Okay, so kita tengok dulu when you're a baby to a child from 0 to 7 years old. Your mother or your parents always tell you no, no, and no when you want to do things. Okay? It's always no. Okay? Just imagine, your mom gives you a knife. I empower you to use this knife. Never going to happen. Okay? Because a leadership style, when you're a leader, you have to go through this phase of leadership. First, because you know it best, as a parent, as a mother, as a father, you must really be authoritative. Okay? When you start a journey, you must really be authoritative. But when the child grows up, slowly you become empowering. It's not straight away empowering, It's first authoritative first, because the leader, a good leader, needs to go through that phase. You cannot be authoritative from start to the end. No, you have to be slowly you let go. Okay? Another example, when you are standard 1, standard 2, you go into class, first day of class, cikgu tanya, what is your ambitions? You said, one day, today I want to be a teacher. Tomorrow, oh, I want to be a pilot lah. The next day, you want to be an architect. The day after, you want to be a Manchester United player. Anything you can be. Because you are, you feel that you can do anything in this world. But when you grow older, you feel, alamak, my maths is not that good lah. So I cannot be an engineer or an economist. Okay? So perhaps my drawing is not too bad. Okay, I'll do architecture. Okay? Or something else, interior design or something. So as you move on, your perception, because you are less informed. But after a while, you get, oh, you're well informed. The reality is different. Okay? So to answer that, how you address closing the gap between perception and reality. Okay, this is where I think this is my own opinion. There's only three ways on how you close the gap from perception to become reality. There's 3 ways, the 3 E's. If you forget how I look like, if you forget how I dress like, you just remember these 3 things, 3 E's. E, E, and E, not 4, but 3. First, education. You educate yourself in that issue. Okay? So, let's say you start a journey, you want to become a football player. You educate yourself on football. What are the rules of football? Second, you experience itself. Okay? You play football. You play with your peers. You play petang-petang. So that's the second E. And the third E is actually exposure. You expose yourself with people who are better than you. Okay? People who are older than you, more experienced than you. So these 3 E's are really important on how to close the gap between perception and reality. And to me, that applies to any issues, on whether if it's politics, on whether it's education, in economics, in society. It applies to most of things, okay, that I can think of lah. So, I think my conclusion is, I think I made my point here, I won't go on further. My conclusion is, when you closer the gap between your perception and the reality, what you can do is, you have better informed opinion, okay? When you have perception, you can have an opinion. But when you're closer to the reality, you have a better informed opinion, to better argue, to make a better informed decision on this. Right? I hope I made some sense here. So if you forget about me, it's okay, but remember the 3 E's on how you closing the gap between perception and reality. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Izhar. Next, we'll call Mr. Hafiz to give his thoughts on the issue at hand. Mr. Hafiz?
Yes. Test, 1, 2. Okay, it's good. Mohon kebenarannya kawan-kawan. Kalau boleh bercakap di kerusi ini, it's too good for me. Nampaknya bercakap di selaku pihak yang ketiga, ini adalah waktu-waktu kecederaan, waktu-waktu kecemasan. So, I'll do my best to make a good use of it. Saya juga dimaklumkan event ini akan turut dihadiri oleh barisan artis. Kita ada Aaron Aziz di belakang tu, berikan tepukan gemuruh. So most of you look at back. Saya berjaya create perceptions. Thank you. So, but the perception, you want to reaffirm, is there a real Aaron Aziz or Aaron Aziz di belakang sana? You look back because you want to reassure. I cannot deny that we as young people, we have that kind of feelings macam bagus. When people tell you to do this, the person tell you to do A, B, and C, and you say, blah, I do E. In the end, you regret. Because we have that kind of egos, which is the factors that I can share with you from the scholars say, there are 4 major factors that helps you, that really blend in you, helps you to create perception. First is your emotions. Yeah? You're so emotionally seeing things around you and complicate it within yourself. That's where perception happens within yourself, especially for us, orang muda. Ada yang tak muda ke? Siapa orang muda angkat tangan? Oh, congratulations. Ramai yang tak nak ngaku muda. The second is the motives. What is our motives of seeing that things? I've seen Anwar Hadi. Wow, a cool vloggers. So the motive is he looks cool, right? So a perception creates in myself. And objectives of reasoning. What is the reason we see those things? And that's the factors that we create perceptions. And lastly, of course, and how does the things that we see influence us? And these factors is really crucial if we don't really know how to handle it. And back to the questions, does those support really help us? And I may say it yes. Because if you not being guided to see things, you might end up to see the other side of the coins, which might not give a good benefits for yourself. In institutions, we can see there are two kind of methods of learning. The first is the formal learning itself. The second is the informal learning. I found that the formal learning giving you a basic guidelines, how can you stand on your own feet? And that's how you can survive in a cruel world, as Anwar said. Yeah? If we neglect the basic, the foundation, which is this formal learning in our institutions, I'm afraid that when you step into the cruel world, you will not able to survive. You might fall down because you were unable to control the factors that I shared with you just now. But living in organization, involving yourself in organizations, not necessarily you have to be an MPP. Oh, MPP looks cool. Actually, no. Balik ke student, society, masuk universiti, poyo lah. Ini semua poyo. MPP ni poyo. Cakap lebih dan sebagainya. But some people feel that MPP is a way how they want to visualize what they think about to share a good things with their community. Some people think that the organization is a platform for them to embrace their potential. And that's where the second learning process begins, which is experiential learning, non-formal learning. So when the formal and the non-formal learning combine each other, it will complete you. It will answer you why you are in the institutions and why you are in the organizations and what helps you to be a better person. And that's how we see that the roles of the people support us in our institutions. And dear my young people, brothers and sisters, don't draw the line too far.
AJ mentioned 15,000. That is the benchmark set by World Bank. Bukan kita tak buat tau. World Bank yang buat. In 2 years, we grew our GNI, gross national income, by 45%. You go to any other country in this world, tak ada yang grew in 2 years, 45% GNI in 2 years. Extremely well. Okay? What's the role of the youth? Get involved in the economy. After you do this, you go get involved in the industry. Get your jobs in the MNCs, get your jobs in the GLCs, in your respective areas. That's how you get involved in the economy. Because why? All these companies are able to create more high-income jobs. Income jobs, please aspire. Your first job, get 5,000 ringgit and above. There's so many jobs out there. Okay? In my opinion, the economy is doing extremely well. Jobs are of abundance. It's up to you how you participate and how you get more high-income jobs by doing well in your education, by doing well in your student organizations. Either you are in Malaysia, either you are studying in Malaysian universities or overseas universities, it doesn't matter. You can be involved in this transformation of the economy. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Izhar. Now the second question for Mr. Azzairi was, in the next general election, where should we go to for guidance? Or what is right and wrong? So, Mr. Azzairi.
First thing I want to ask you. Yeah? Okay. First thing I want to ask you, bila saya duduk ni, saya nampak gemuk. Okay. Kalau nampak gemuk, nak berdiri. Okay, it's better. Alright. Okay, so Adam. Okay, definitely. Apa yang kita perlu dalam keadaan di mana sekarang ini kita terdedah kepada banyak sangat maklumat sehingga ada yang akhirnya jatuh kepada golongan yang suka diikut, main ikut lah. That's the thing. So apa guidance yang terbaik? Okay, sekarang ini kita sudah berdepan dengan satu situasi baru ataupun fenomena baru. I call it tsunami maya. Maksudnya hari ini kita berdepan dengan golongan Twitter, Facebook, YouTube yang sentiasa memaparkan perkara-perkara dari persepsi si pengupload. Akhirnya yang kita perceive adalah sesuatu yang kadang-kadang betul, kadang-kadang separuh betul, and kadang-kadang is totally wrong. And usually I understand students yang di overseas, inilah sumber mereka. Ini sahaja sumber yang mereka ada. Okay, selain daripada ini Anwar Hadi video. Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah, I want to be involved our project, right? Okay. So ini yang kita ada. So maksudnya hari ini, dan apabila orang bercakap bahawa media sosial kadang-kadang bukannya betul pun, but irony, itulah media yang paling kita bergantung sekarang ini. So my opinion is, bila kita melihat situasi sebegini, yang paling utama sekali adalah kita sendiri perlu faham dan perlu yakin kepada apa yang kita hendak percaya. Sebab saya percaya setiap orang mempunyai persepsi sendiri. Dan yang paling penting adalah anda hidup dan berjuang atas prinsip yang anda percaya. Maknanya, anda berjuang atas prinsip yang anda percaya, tidak semestinya orang lain perlu juga untuk mempercayai prinsip anda. Tapi apa yang anda buat itu, yang anda rasa itulah betul, itulah yang terbaik, maka itulah guidance dia. Dan secara relatively, kalau saya melihat observation di Malaysia ini, okay, if you talk about the government, okay, sebelum ini orang bercakap, government tak nak dengar suara rakyat. Government ini kejar, menutup ruang. Okay, fine. Then government dengar suara rakyat, dia ada argument is, baru sekarang nak dengar, baru sekarang nak buat. So apa yang hang nak sebenarnya? Apa yang hang nak sebenarnya? Dulu jahat, so berubah, dah berubah, barulah nak berubah. What's wrong? What's wrong with these people? Okay, what's wrong? Okay? and saya melihat ini adalah sebagai, this is because persepsi yang telah diletakkan begitu tebal yang akhirnya reality walau sebetul mana sekalipun ia agak sukar untuk diatasi. Dan for me, kalau tanya saya balik pada soalan itu adalah, anda yang melihat, anda yang baca, akhirnya anda sendiri yang tentukan secara logik akal atau secara ilmiah atau secara perbincangan dan sebagainya. Dan akhirnya apa yang anda percaya, apa yang ada dalam hati, itulah yang anda ikut. Harap menjawab soalan Adam. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Mr. Azzairi. That was a very good point. It's principles. Everyone should have principles, all right? So we move on to the next round of questions. So here it goes. It was Harold Janine who said, leadership cannot be taught, it can only be learned. Some seem to believe that there is only one or specific brands of leadership that can be acceptable. But I feel we can all agree that there are various perceptions as to what is an ideal leader. What I may want in a leader may or may not be the same as what you guys want in a leader. And having said this, we observe that there are certain people who try to impose on students what they should be like and what is needed to make it as a leader. To what extent is this true, this statement that people are trying to make us conform into a certain type of leader? And how can you, as experienced panelists up here, relate this with what you have gone through as youth leaders? I think we'll try to shuffle it around. Mr. Hafiz, if you could ask the question, answer the question, sorry. Mr. Hafiz.
Okey, terima kasih Anwar. Kita melihat sama ada orang yang memberitahu kita untuk buat you have to be like this, or you have to be like that, or you have to be like me. It's not important. It's an additional gift to you that somebody wants to give some input to you. But the main important, apa yang penting dalam pengalaman saya meniti dalam arena kepimpinan mahasiswa, yang pertama adalah pendirian diri. Where is your stand? What do you believe? Do you know in 5 years' time where you're going to? Within 10 years' time, what you're going to be? Can you answer that question if I ask you? If I ask you in 2 hours, where are you heading? Are you clear? Where are you going? Which is pendirian anda. Matlamat hala tuju diri anda itu adalah penting untuk menunjukkan siapakah diri anda, sama anda menjadi si pengikut, tunjuk orang lain, atau anda menjadi diri anda yang sebenar. Itu pandangan saya tentang yang pertama, what will help us to be ourselves. Does the young people nowadays is easily to be directed, or we are self-empowered? Kerana dalam hal ini juga kita tidak boleh katakan yang kita menidakkan segalanya yang diberikan kepada kita. Kerana saya percaya dalam satu teori kepimpinan, sekiranya anda ingin didengari, you mesti belajar untuk mendengari yang lain. If you want to be listened, you must be able to listen to the others. Listen, listen, and listen. I'm just joking. If you want to be understood, you must be able to learn how to understand the others. Kalau anda ingin difahami, belajarlah untuk faham orang lain. Janganlah cakap anda seorang je yang faham, anda seorang je yang tahu. Mungkin orang yang menunjuk ajar itu cuba menyampaikan sesuatu yang bagus, kita cuba fahami. Don't, as I said just now, don't just easily draw a simple line and that's it. It will never help you to move forward as a young people. Dan apatah lagi untuk menjadi seorang yang dihargai, semestinya kita kena belajar menghargai orang lain. The most important part nowadays I'm seeing as a young people, we judging others. You are bad, I'm good. You are awesome, or you are not cool. So this is something which is, we are segmentizing ourselves. Where do we stand and where do we live? If kalau kawan saya kata dia gemuk, saya kurus. Saya tak nak kawan dengan orang gemuk. Contoh. Persepsi. Realitinya, dia kelihatan gemuk tetapi di weight scale dia kurus. Itu cerita dia. Maka orang kata tak kenal maka tidak cinta. So give chance. Get yourself to see what the other side of world. Don't easily go and say, no. Okay? There is something bad that can be related with our discussion today, which is perceptions and reality. There's existed a village which is completely inhabited by a blind people. And one day, there's a big elephant come into that village. And of course, they are culture shock because they never seen an elephant before. So since they are also blind, so they are so curious. They wanted to know, how does this elephant looks like? So what do? They gather all around the elephant. They figure out how does the elephant looks like, but they cannot see by their own eyes. What they have to do, they have to touch the elephant. So they have like 6 to 4 people over there. They started to touch the elephants. Touch the right part, don't touch the wrong part. Later the elephant will get angry. So one guy touched and it says, this elephant feels like a brick wall. And one guy said, no, you are wrong. This one looks like a thick tree branch. He holding the trunk. And another guy, no, 2 of you are wrong. It's like a pillar because he's holding the leg. And the last person say, no, all of you are wrong. It's like a rope, just because he hold the tail. So they arguing each other, and until they frustrated and they agitated. That's normal among us. When I disagree with you, we start arguing and we be frustrated, and I will delete you from my Facebook friends. So there's a wise old man passed by because he heard the argument happen between these young men. And what does he say? That he said, all of you are right because you touch only the different part of the elephant. That only makes you have a different feels and view about how does the elephants look like. And that's the perception lives inside of you. But if you imagine through your experience, it doesn't mean that the other person's image is wrong. This guy may be right, and this guy also might be right. So we have different views, and we shouldn't say that easily to draw a line and say you are wrong. The elephant has all the future that you say, even maybe more. But the bottom line is, if you not to forget that each of them looking a different version of the reality, a small aspect of life is colored with our own perception and experience. The more we accept to see life through other vision and minds, the richer version of the life that we will have. So this is the moral story that I can see if people telling you what is right, what is wrong. So don't easily to back off. Just give it a room for yourself. And I love to tell that be rational, be tolerant, and be practical in doing things. And to answer the questions by our friends Anwar Hadi, that it is not necessarily that we have to say yes to everything, but sometimes we have to say no, because one day you will walk on your own path. And that's where perceptions and reality teach you on how to make a decision-making process which lead yourself where you are going to be in future. And ladies and gentlemen, my brothers and sisters, so take charge, make difference, and I believe all of us, if we are together, like in this story, the elephant, we can create a better world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hafiz. Next up, can we have Mr. Izhar to answer the question?
Thanks. I'll make it short. Can I just understand back the question? So I paraphrase it. Adults are limiting our leadership capability because they impose on us what kind of leaders we should be.
Yes.
Okay. I disagree with that. I don't think that is the case. The case is that there are not enough opportunities when we are younger for the adults to groom our capabilities. For example, when I was smaller, I wanted to be, honestly, I thought I can be like Eric Cantona. I support Man United. I thought I can play for Manchester United. I really believe, and I wanted to be a football player. And I was the captain of my school. After that, I went to, when I was chosen to play for Selangor, I was in Form 5. My mom didn't let me play football because I was going for my SPM. Okay? That limited what I thought the potential that I had, my dreams that I had. They say if my life totally changed path from wanting to become a footballer, and I graduated in architecture actually. And why? My parents imposed on me what I should be. Okay? If I were a footballer, I wouldn't be here today. I might be married to Maya Karin or Fazura or something. But my wife is here today. She's more beautiful than them. But I don't want to quote you guys.
Nice save, man.
The point is, to me, the adults don't impose on what type of leaders we should be, but they limit our capabilities. Maybe it's the education system, maybe it's their old time punya mentality, but I don't think, based on my experience, they don't limit our leadership potential, but they want us. There's not enough opportunities out there to for us to expand our leadership capabilities, to expand our potential. I think that is the case.
Thank you very much, Mr. Izhar, for that input. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Azzairi to give his thoughts on the matter. Sure, no problem. Over here, there's no restrictions. You can go anywhere you want.
Yeah, because it's 10 minutes, so too long to be there. Right. Personally, okay, untuk soalan tersebut, wajar atau tidak seandainya kita telah diseragamkan untuk menjadi seorang pemimpin yang sepatutnya kita jadi. Okey, yang saya percaya dalam melahirkan seorang pemimpin adalah kita melihat kepada matlamatnya. Dan yang paling kita inginkan adalah seorang pemimpin yang benar-benar boleh menjalankan tanggungjawab dengan baik. That is general. Dan saya rasa ini semua setuju. Tapi untuk spesifik pemimpin, pemimpin dia perlu wajah kacak contoh. Dan saya rasa kalau itulah yang ditetapkan, ramai menteri hari ini tak boleh jadi menteri. Oh sorry. No, this reality, man. This reality. They must know it, man. Okay, they must know, right? This reality. Okay, itu spesifik. Maknanya apa? So the moral of the story, untuk jadi menteri kena okay. Moral of the story is, apabila kita meletakkan ciri-ciri tertentu untuk kita melahirkan seorang pemimpin yang kita hendak, akhirnya banyak bakat ataupun banyak potensi, banyak perkara-perkara, banyak individu yang berkebolehan akhirnya terbatas kerana simple sahaja kerana dia tidak memenuhi ciri-ciri yang kita tetapkan, sedangkan itu bukannya syarat utama untuk kita melahirkan pemimpin yang kita hendak. And that's the thing, sebab manusia itu berubah. Kerana daripada dulu, prosesnya berubah, persepsinya berubah, persekitaran juga berubah. Kalau dahulu sebelum merdeka kita mahu jadi pemimpin yang betul-betul semangat patriotik, berperang dan sebagainya, hari ini kita tidak boleh mengharapkan pemimpin mempunyai nilai ataupun perasaan yang sama seperti sebelum mereka. Kerana all of us tidak hidup di zaman penjajahan. Kita tidak tahu bagaimana Jepun datang serang rumah. Yes, we know by listening to the stories, dengar cerita, semua tengok, but we are not experiencing it. So how come mereka mahu kita sebagai orang muda rasa seperti yang mereka rasa? It's totally ridiculous. Jadi apa yang sepatutnya adalah untuk melihat hari ini, untuk cabaran yang mana, untuk cabaran yang akan kita hadapi, what the element that suits that we must fulfill. Itu yang saya percaya. Kerana seandainya kita spesifikkan mengikut ciri-ciri yang tertentu, kita akan rugi. Dan manusia itu, seperti saya katakan tadi, dia akan berubah mengikut persekitaran. Walau apa pun ada cerita jasa baik, pengorbanan dan sebagainya, once you make a mistake or what, they judge you based on the current what you're doing. Kerana saya percaya seandainya manusia itu tidak berubah, cinta itu tidak akan putus. Sayang tidak akan terhenti, malah kasih akan terus mengambil kisah.
Macam ada set story ya di belakang statement ni. Tapi teruskan.
Sedap. Okay. But finally, this is it. Okay. Untuk kita mencari pemimpin, you must look for the current issues, the current challenges, the current surroundings, so that when you letakkan satu limitasi terhadapnya, akhirnya kita akan kerugian banyak. Dan hari ini secara kelakar je, okay, secara kelakar, memang kelakar pun. Sebab saya tengok those young leaders terlampau ambitious untuk menunjukkan mereka ini seperti politician, seperti menteri, bercakap pun macam, oh gerakan mahasiswa. It sounds like that. And then when mahasiswa dapat, oh student je. Tapi mahasiswa. They sound so, nak jadi, yes, I know we must look mature, whatever. But matang tidak semestinya tua. Tapi terbaliknya, pemimpin-pemimpin veteran cuba untuk menjadi semuda mungkin terhadap kita. In Twitter, Facebook, whatever. So akhirnya dah terbalik. Yang atas cuba untuk mendekati kita sebaik-baiknya, tapi kita hendak keluar daripada kepompong kita untuk menjadi seperti mereka. So for me it's funny. I don't know you guys. This is my perception, okay? You okay? So this is reality yang we face it, yang kadang-kadang kita perlu ubah perkara ini. And I agree with all of them. Agree to disagree, itu adalah disiplin kepentingan ilmu yang cukup tinggi. Bersetuju untuk tidak bersetuju. Meaning you have many perceptions, banyak opinions, but then untuk kita menentang seandainya dia betul-betul berlawanan dengan kita, adalah satu perkara yang salah. Sometimes you must agree, sometimes you must admit, even though it's not based on what you believe, it's not based what your principle is all about, but in the terms of ketinggian ilmu dalam disiplin ilmu is such a wonderful thing that you may figure out. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Azzairi. So next we move on to concluding this session. So I'll give each of you 4 minutes to conclude your arguments this morning. So first to the stage, I think I'll Mr. Izhar first. Mr. Izhar, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. I think I'll go back to my point when I first stated that perception and reality, many issues that we face now, we are far from the reality. So 3 E's, 3 ways on how you close the gap, okay, between the perception that you have to the reality. It's educating yourself on the issue, experiencing firsthand, doing it. That means do it. Okay, don't just talk, but just do it. And thirdly, the exposure. Exposed to people who have so much education, so much knowledge, so much experience in it, that will really improve, elevate you to another level, okay, to reach the reality. And I urge, I think, everyone here, because I mentioned earlier that there are not many opportunities that is provided perhaps in this country by our parents to become the leaders who we are. I just say, go for your dreams. Go for your dreams. Perhaps I once dreamt before that I want to become a footballer because that is where my passion is. But now, even though I'm not a footballer, but I can be involved in leading younger footballers. Okay, I was involved in a coaching program with my former high school in Shah Alam. So I did coaching. Okay, maybe I changed the lives of one or two players by being indisciplined, but they were good footballers, to making them be disciplined and get good results in their exams. Okay? So what I urge you is, everyone has leadership in them. If you can't make a difference at the national level, it's okay. You go down to your family level, your community level, your brothers and sisters, just make a difference in that small way. Okay? So I won't go long. I think that is perhaps the short message that I want to convey to everyone. Thank you very much, and I hope you at least get some knowledge from the three of us today. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Izhar. Now, Mr. Azzairi, to conclude.
So khulasahnya, kan, kesimpulannya, apa yang saya nak sampaikan di sini, okay, dari segi apa yang kami katakan, antara persepsi dan realiti, okay, yang akhirnya menentukan sama ada persepsi itu betul atau tidak, ataupun anda boleh berhadapan dengan realiti daripada persepsi yang anda pegang selama ini. Yang paling penting sekali, you have, mahu atau tak mahu, you have to gain a knowledge. That's it. Apa yang kami cakap ini is all mentioning impliedly you have to gain knowledge. Sebab pepatah Melayu ada kata ilmu itu cahaya. Dan dalam teori fizik, cahaya itu tenaga. So ilmu itu adalah tenaga. Satu kekuatan yang I believe is a theory dan inilah yang kita perlukan. Banyak sejarah-sejarah lampau menunjukkan bagaimana sesebuah bangsa, sesebuah negara itu golongan mudanya jatuh dan naik kerana ilmu. Dan this is what the future leaders, the youngsters yang perlu portray to the whole nation. Sama ada local students ataupun overseas students. Ilmu itu yang perlu untuk kita melahirkan aspiration of young minds will lead to a fresh social, economical and political. This is the right thing. Not because of emotion, but with the ideology, dengan cakap berasas berfakta dan sebagainya, akhirnya itulah yang akan lead to all of you. That's it. Dan harapan saya, semoga apa yang kami katakan hari ini, pada ketika ini, at least will give something for you to think about. Okay? So my Twitter account, okay. Alright, okay. That's it. Thank you very much.
Kalau nak minta Twitter saya lepas ni, off stage. Okay, so I invite Mr. Hafiz to conclude.
Terima kasih Tuan Moderator. Sebagai penghujung cerita, under the nutshell-nya lah. Sebagai penghujung cerita, hanya ada 4. Kerana peranan anak muda pada hari ini adalah untuk membawa Malaysia jauh kepada apa yang kita ada pada hari ini. Orang kata, orang muda lah sebenarnya nadi kepada asas peletakan masa hadapan. Kalau kita tidak fikirkan, siapa lagi bantu kita untuk kita fikir. Maka itulah yang ingin saya sampaikan. Ada satu pantun bunyinya, perahu payang layarnya ke hulu, berlayar menuju ke arah utara. Keris dipegang bersintukkan darah, adat kita semua anak muda membela negara. Sekian, terima kasih.
Thank you, Hafiz. Now, what a great session we had today. I had a good time. I hope all of you had a good time and got a lot of input so that you can chew on, and at least you take something from this session from today and go back to wherever you're from and do something about it. Now, segala yang baik dari Allah, segala yang tak baik disandarkan ke atas saya yang berstatuskan hamba. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.